been revealed when we walk in your lights. When we walk in.
Hello, and welcome to The Torch. I'm Pat.
I'm Kevin.
And today we're going to talk about the compromise.
The compromise. Sounds like a lot of what's going on in these here parts in this here world right now.
This particular one relates to the Electoral College.
The Electoral College. I like smart politicians. They all need to go to the Electoral College. Learn about the Constitution, learn about the Bill of Rights. Is that what the college you're talking about?
No.
Oh.
The Electoral College is not a building.
It's not a building. Well, you know, everything is online now.
Yeah. And the Electoral College doesn't pertain to you learning anything, really.
Oh.
But today we're going to learn.
We're going to learn. You know, I think that everybody needs to learn about what the Electoral College is all about.
So, we're going to play a video for you. It's a short one. It's called Do You Understand the Electoral College?
Okay.
Okay, let's run that video.
Let's run it now. Okay, well, I'm going to get them all set up real quick.
I want to talk to you about the Electoral College and why it matters. All right, I know this doesn't sound like the most sensational topic of the day, but stay with me because I promise you it's one of the most important. To explain why requires a very brief civics review. The President and Vice President of the United States are not chosen by a nationwide popular vote of the American people. Rather, they are chosen by 538 electors. This process is spelled out in the United States Constitution. Why didn't the founders just make it easy and let the presidential candidate with the most votes claim victory? Why did they create, and why do we continue to need this electoral college? The answer is critical to understanding not only the Electoral College, but also America. The founders had no intention of creating a pure majority-rule democracy. They knew from careful study of history what most have forgotten today or never learned. Pure democracies do not work. They implode. Democracy has been colorfully described as two wolves and a lamb voting on what's for dinner. In a pure democracy, bare majorities can easily tyrannize the rest of the country. The founders wanted to avoid this at all costs. This is why we have three branches of government: executive, legislative, and judicial. It's why each state has 2 senators, no matter what its population, but also different numbers of representatives based entirely on population. It's why it takes a supermajority in Congress and 3/4 of the states to change the Constitution. And it's why we have the Electoral College. Here's how the Electoral College works. The presidential election happens in 2 phases. The first phase is purely democratic. We hold 51 popular elections every presidential election year, 1 in each state and 1 in D.C. On Election Day in 2012, you may have thought you were voting for Barack Obama or Mitt Romney, but you were really voting for a slate of presidential electors. In Rhode Island, for example, if you voted for Barack Obama, you voted for the state's 4 Democratic electors. If you voted for Mitt Romney, you were really voting for the state's 4 Republican electors. Part 2 of the election is held in December, and it is this December election among the state's 538 electors, not the November election, which officially determines the identity of the next president. At least 270 votes are needed to win. Why is this so important? Because the system encourages coalition building and national campaigning. In order to win, a candidate must have the support of many different types of voters from various parts of the country. Winning only the South or the Midwest is not good enough. You cannot win 270 electoral votes if only one part of the country is supporting you. But if winning were only about getting the most votes, a candidate might concentrate all of his efforts in the biggest cities or the biggest states. Why would that candidate care about what people in West Virginia or Iowa or Montana think? But you might ask, isn't the election really only about the so-called swing states? Actually, no. If nothing else, safe and swing states are constantly changing. California voted safely Republican as recently as 1988. Texas used to vote Democrat. Neither New Hampshire nor Virginia used to be swing states. Most people think that George W. Bush won the 2000 election because of Florida. Well, sort of, But he really won the election because he managed to flip one state which the Democrats thought was safe, West Virginia. Its 4 electoral votes turned out to be decisive. No political party can ignore any state for too long without suffering the consequences. Every state, and therefore every voter in every state, is important. The Electoral College also makes it harder to steal elections. Votes must be stolen in the right state in order to change the outcome of the Electoral College. With so many swing states, this is hard to predict and hard to do. But without the Electoral College, any vote stolen in any precinct in the country could affect the national outcome, even if that vote was easily stolen in the bluest California precinct or the reddest Texas one. The Electoral College is an ingenious method of selecting a president for a great, diverse republic such as our own. It protects against the tyranny of the majority, encourages coalition building, and discourages voter fraud. Our founders were proud of it. We can be too. I'm Tara Ross for Prager University.
Join Prager University. Click here to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click here to sign up for free at prageru.com for quizzes, contests, and prizes.
Okay, that was pretty good way of describing all of that. And of course, you know, over time, more ingenious ways of rigging and stealing and fraud have come up. So, you know, it's the masterminds of theft and rigging of elections and stuff like that have gotten even more clever. But that's still, though, probably one of the safest way. I mean, still probably the best way.
It appears so, you know, but let's understand where the founders were coming from.
Mm-hmm.
They spent months during the 1787 Constitutional Convention trying to come up with and resolve their differences. And one side of the group wanted Congress to choose the president. The other wanted the popular vote. Well, the opponents to the Congress, having Congress choose, said that was too much of an opportunity for corruption between the two branches, legislative and executive.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
The opposing group for the popular vote, well, there again, they feared that a president appealing to the people could command dangerous amounts of power.
Right, right.
And so they were trying to not let the government take control, basically.
Right, right. The 18 enumerated powers that are supposed to be kind of reined in,
Yeah.
right? It's like
Now
that.
remember something else. In 1787, there were no political parties.
Just people?
Just people. That sounds good to me.
That sounds good to me too, yeah.
Anyway, so do you know how electors are chosen?
I don't know how electors are chosen. I don't know how in the world people get to be an elector.
Well, for one thing, they've got to be a qualified voter of the state they live in.
Okay.
The other thing is they cannot hold a federal office of profit or trust.
Okay.
And usually they are a member of the particular political party.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they go outside with people that they've dealt with, but generally that's the case. They're at the national convention or at the state convention level, I guess. They choose. That's where they choose the candidates for the electors, and basically the elector is there. When you vote for the president, you're not voting for that person. You're voting for the electors.
The electors, yeah.
And each state has a specific number of electors. For example, California has 53, 58, something like that. And Texas has 40. In the last election, Texas had 38. The number is based on the census.
Right, right.
and the population. Well, Texas had an increase in population, so they were increased by 2 electors.
So is that 20 on one side, 20 on the other electors? 20 Republicans and 20 Democrats?
Yeah.
So 40 total
Yeah,
to vote. Okay.
40 total.
So the person, like, do they, you just get a
No.
letter in the mail?
No,
Oh, excuse me.
I just said that wrong. No. The Republicans, if it's Republicans, there's 40 Republican electors.
Oh, okay.
So if the president who has the popular vote is Republican, that's 40 electors.
They all go there. So
Not
again,
necessarily, we'll get into that in a little bit.
they're supposed to all go.
Well,
Maybe.
Well,
It's gonna-
maybe. So,
So how do they, you just get a letter in the mail, like, hey, we want you to be an elector?
I don't know how they do that. They
Yeah,
notify them some way.
Somehow they do
Yeah,
that, huh?
They some way notify them and let them know.
Yeah.
And they maybe have voiced their opinion that they'd like to be one or something, you know. I don't know.
I'd like to be one.
Well, let's check it into it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Excuse me. Anyway, so what it amounts to is when the electors go to meet at the end of the general election, they all come together at a certain date and time, and if the popular vote was for a Republican or a Democrat, most states will, yes, let that be what they vote for. They will put their votes to that candidate
In that state.
in that state.
Like whoever had the most votes in that state, that's who the electors are supposed to.
Not, don't use the word supposed to.
Oh, supposed to. I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Because it depends upon the state. And I'm going to get into that here closer to the end.
Okay.
Because it's a movement that's coming about right now. But basically what happens is they meet, and typically, yes, they do vote for the popular vote. Sometimes there may be, because they have all of the candidates there, you may have a Republican, Democrat, and Conservative. Somebody over here, elector, may want to throw it to the Conservative.
Oh.
Or to the Democrat, or to, you know, whatever, to the
Interesting.
Republican. So it's just a case of, now, Texas has an oath that they have. It says, if selected for the position of elector, I swear to serve and to mark my ballots for the president and vice president, for the nominees for those offices of the party that nominated me. Now they're saying they're going to put their votes to the party that nominated them. That doesn't necessarily mean to the popular vote.
So how do they determine that? Whether it doesn't matter if the person got the popular vote or not.
In the way that reads, yes, you know it.
You
just toss your vote out there. You got 40 people sitting there who are electors, and
Well, how does that decide then? Because the Democrats will do theirs, the Republicans will do theirs, and then a tie. How do they?
not necessarily. Different states are going to have.
No, I know, but like the Texas electors.
The Texas is just one state. California is another state, and they bring them all together. They send Texas sends their votes in. California sends their votes in, and the Senate, the president of the Senate opens these packages up, and they count all the votes. Now
That's in January on that one, or does that still in December?
that's in December, and they count all the votes. And, you know, okay, Texas has 40 votes for Republican, because Texas is right now predominantly Republican. California has 50, I don't remember, it's 53 or 58 votes, predominantly Democrat. So right there, you've got the difference between the two as far as, and it didn't, at that point, it didn't matter which one was the popular vote.
Right.
Do you see where I'm going with this now?
So,
It's kind of hard to explain.
yeah, well, they probably had to make it, I mean, they had to,
It's a fair thing. So what I'm saying is, Wyoming has 3 votes. But Wyoming could cinch the presidency with their 3 votes.
instead of it being the most popular state.
Yeah. Maybe the most popular vote throughout the United States was for a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
But something as small as 3 votes can
Determine that.
determine that. It doesn't happen very often. It has happened several times over the years, to where I think she mentioned in the video that President, because Rhode Island had
The Electoral College votes.
the Electoral College votes, and it swung it around to him.
Right.
So, that's,
It's still genius, though.
yeah.
Even as complicated as it is, we should not be monkeying around with things that have worked and preserved the republic for 200 and something years, when there's no nation that I know of, there's no other nation on earth that has had the longest running time under the same constitution, Bill of Rights, the whole thing. I mean, there's been changes throughout all the European countries are older than the United States, but they've gone through multiple revolutions, multiple changes of their political system, multiple constitutions of, their own.
That's the reason that our Constitution reads as it is, because our founders had just fought a revolution.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want to go through that again.
No, and they don't want the posterity to go through that either.
Yeah, and they were trying to set up a method for everything, which is kind of hard to do in the first place, especially for the future.
Right.
And this country has survived because of that. But now people are wanting to change things, and I was always taught if it isn't broken, you don't fix it.
Don't fix it. Yes, like why change something just for the sake of changing it, unless you're moving your furniture around.
Well, yeah,
We
won't go there. I do that quite a bit.
we won't go there, but like if it's working fine, don't mess with it.
Yeah, I realize that the Electoral College is difficult.
But it was there
It was
for a reason.
It was the compromise
Mm-hmm.
between the two issues of Congress choosing or of the population choosing. Either way, you had one large group of people dictating.
Mm-hmm.
There's that word, dictating to another, to everybody.
Right. So like L.A. County and New York could decide every presidential election between here and Houston and Dallas. Basically those 4 major cities.
Well, yeah.
Could determine the outcome of every presidential election for here until, without regard to like an entire state like Idaho and Montana and the Dakotas.
Yeah, because when you look at the breakdown of the votes in the states, the top 3 are California, Texas, and Florida.
So those 3 states basically could.
California has 54 votes.
Yep.
Texas has 40, and Florida has, where are you? 30. But then you turn around and you look at other states, like Wyoming has 3.
Mm-hmm.
Washington, D.C. has 3 there. I counted 3 votes, period. And
they weren't set up to even have, statehood rights at all,
No,
I think.
right. And
originally.
but you know, that's
It is what it is now.
yeah, it is what it is now. Like New Jersey has 14. But even the states with the smallest vote can change it.
Right. And that's the point.
That's the point.
Right.
Everybody has a voice instead of, you know, instead of the states with the big populations, as opposed to the states with the smaller populations.
Right.
Everybody has a voice and has the ability to
So,
change it.
Electoral college, nothing about college, more about picking the president fairly. Yeah.
And you know, if somebody can come up with a better idea that's fair to everybody, that's a different story.
Right. So, but nobody's come up with that yet. I was looking
No.
for my glasses. I think that's.
Well, you know, over the years, there's been over 700 times that it's come up in Congress,
700 times
and it never has gone anywhere.
with the Electoral College. So they're having a hard time changing it, but
It's never gone anywhere, mainly because the only way you can change it is with an amendment.
amendment to the Constitution.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do on purpose.
Now, there is a group.
There's always a group in there. There's always a group.
There is a group.
Yes, tell me about it.
It's called what's it called here? National Popular Vote Interstate Compact.
National, it always sounds so official.
And they're coming in the back door. They're asking the states to sign this compact that, let me make sure I say this right.
Sure, yeah.
A compact is being presented to the states pledging their electoral college votes to the winner of the popular vote. So far, 15 states and D.C. have approved the pact, covering 196 of the 270 required votes to win. They're counting the electoral votes for each state. And it won't go into effect in any of the states who have already passed it through their legislature until that 270 mark is reached, because they need 270 votes to win the presidency.
Right.
Now, a lot of the states already stick with whoever has the popular vote. Some don't. There's a couple of them that divvy it up between the two candidates. So, you know, it's like Texas has a bill before it now that's been there since, I can't remember if it was 2022 or 2023, but it's been there for a while, and it's sitting in committee somewhere.
It's probably just staying in committee because nobody wants to.
Nobody's addressing it or anything,
Yeah.
or they can't come to any conclusions about it. So it's sitting there in committee. If you want more information on it, on this, you can go to the national popular www.nationalpopularvote.com, which is the website for that National Popular Vote Interstate Compact.
So what kind of organization, I wonder who's heading this up? Is it what particular parties, people are heading this up?
I wasn't able to determine that.
So
And,
anytime people want to mess with the Constitution and things that are working that safeguard our republic, sounds like not a patriot. If a patriot would want to preserve our Constitution as written and designed, people that want to start trying to mess with stuff, and especially if they won't go through the right channels, doesn't sound like somebody that's a patriot. It sounds like they are trying to overthrow the country, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I think anyway.
well, you know, as you go through that website reading their plans and everything.
Yeah.
What it sounds good on paper, you know. I would have to be honest about it, study it more deeply
Sure.
than what I've had the time to do it.
Were they trying to simplify it or what? What are they trying to do? What are they actually trying to do by changing that, though? That's the thing.
Part of it is simplification. Because they're keeping the electoral votes.
Right. But they're still going, yeah.
They're just having the states require that their electors vote according to the popular vote
Of that particular state, not nation. So,
of
like,
that particular state.
let's say Oklahoma. If John Smith is way ahead, he's got 100,000 more votes than Johnson, then he would have the popular vote. That state is going for the one who's got the people, every county, the winner of the counties.
Yeah, because you've got X numbers of electors in each state.
Right,
They total to 538 electors
right,
because it's based on however many representatives you have in Congress.
right.
In other words, your House of Representatives, and then plus each state has 2 senators.
Determines how many you got right there.
Determines how many you've got. And that, that is based on population.
So, do you find, now coming back to this again, maybe I misspoke, do you find that this compact is for nefarious purposes, or do you think it could be a good thing? Your personal opinion, not.
Really, I'm on the fence. I really need to investigate it further to find out just where it's going to take us, what it's going to do, because you're not getting rid of the electoral votes. You're just asking the states to vote according to the popular vote of their state.
Which sounds logical.
Yeah.
So if Oklahoma voted blue, then all of their electoral college votes go that. So every state, you could have so California's got more people in it than 3 other states combined. Well, those other 3 states, 4 other states can override California's vote. So let's say California wanted to vote blue, and they have enough in that state. There's 100,000 more votes for the Democrat than the Republican. Well, then naturally that the majority of that state voted, and they want a Democrat. 4 other states that do not have that to combine have populations. Still maybe even under California, but those 4 states have enough electoral votes, and so those 4 states vote red. They got each state voted by the majority in those states, so they could, in essence, override California's vote. So you're not looking at population, maybe also landmass, like a state.
Yeah, because it's based on the state and the number of electoral votes for the state.
So 4 other states could equal the total number of California electoral, and then and so that whole area of the country could say, no, we want a Republican, and they could cause the.
I like the video.
Yeah.
She was talking about Rhode Island. Was actually what got President Bush elected.
Right.
And Rhode Island has 4 votes.
Right.
Those 4 votes made Rhode Island a swing state.
Right. So basically, the popular vote, one state might have 1 million people. 4 other states combined might have 1 million people. So you might have more people in California who live in California, more people live in New York than those 4 states, but they did not want to rule out those 4 states even having a voice.
Right.
So, yeah, there's more people in those 2 states, and 2 states voted by their population, but it's kind of contained in the state itself. Every state is an individual voting block. So instead of it saying, well, California and New York are, because they might have more votes, more popular votes for that particular person, but you have great swaths of the country with less people actually voting, but their majorities are still voting for the other candidates. So, it does make sure that the particular states have equal say.
Yeah, and so you've got a state that votes Republican, you've got another one over here that votes Democrat. Something that can throw it off is if a state votes conservative.
Right.
If there's a candidate in the conservative.
So that would go, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's still, I think it's still an ingenious thing. I mean,
Yeah, and what it's doing is having each state agree to the electors casting their vote for the one who won the popular vote in that state. And just very simply.
that actually does sound okay. I was thinking that maybe that was a unpatriotic thing, but maybe
It's along the same lines.
I mean,
and
yeah.
in reality, if you think about it, a lot of the states already do that.
so. It's nothing new. It's just trying to get everybody on board the same thing. So
Yeah.
there's nothing, So
The electors, the way it sits right now, pretty much, unless the state has already agreed,
yeah,
but these states are not held to that.
so the actual, like Texas. Let's say Texas has 2 million more people vote for the Republican, and if they didn't have the oath, they could just say we're going to give it to the other guy anyway. Technically, right?
Technically,
But they have an oath to give it to the one who, like if it's a Republican that won, the Republicans must give their votes to the Republican candidate. If the Democrats, that's the oath. They must give it to the party that won. Something
No.
like that.
to their party.
To their party. So
Their party.
the 40 go to him, 40
You're
go to him.
confusing me.
Yeah, I'm confused about Texas. Texas is a little bit squirrely. But
Yeah, that's a little bit squirrely.
So-
And I'm a little bit not sure how they go. And right now, the bill for them to sign this compact has been sitting there for a couple of years. And so that's kind of
where it is.
what it is.
So what would you, in these final moments here, how would we wrap this up?
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. We will be taking, by the way, we are in a kind of a different set today than our normal American flag set. So we'll try to be back on the normal set here coming up. But this is kind of nice, isn't it?
Yeah, that's kind of nice.
Yeah, kind of nice. And I'm looking for my glasses. I didn't ever get up, and they were on my.
Maybe you're sitting on them.
I hope not. Oh, there they are. Well, I didn't have my glasses to see where my glasses were. So.
But no, the whole thing with this is you need to keep an eye on that bill that's in Texas, you Texans, and the rest of the country. You need to check where your state stands on it. Maybe they have bills too. Here in Texas, you can go in, and I haven't checked it in other states. I kind of run out of time doing things like that. But you can go to www.capital.texas.gov, and you can put in the bill number. There's 2 different bills presented by 2 different people. One of them is S like Sam, B like boy, 95. and the other one is H like Harry, B like boy, 237. And right now they're just sitting in committee somewhere and not progressing. But if you want to keep an eye on them, that's how you would do it: is go there and go to legislation, and our activity is also on there. You can go to that and see what's going on with those bills.
Can I see what's happening?
Or, for that matter, any other bill that you'd like to check on.
And if they, I mean, that is good research and digging for individual people, but if they, at the bare minimum, if they're not sure, like if they can keep up with where the bills are, join a organization that leans their way. Like there's organizations here in Texas, like Texas Values, the True Vote Texas, some organizations like that have people that do watch those bills and can inform the people in summary, because we know it's hard to keep up with everything going on. So some of the grassroots organizations that are keeping you in, that do watch those things, like Texas Values, for instance, it's a conservative organization that deals with a lot of the like morality issues, family issues, things like that would affect the family unit. Instead of trying to keep up with those bills, you could get a newsletter, and they make it easy to be involved, which is part of the modern technology. It's like instead of you having to go down, I encourage everybody to go down to the Capitol one time, at least go to the legislator. I mean, it's an interesting thing.
And then you also got these groups like American Family.
Yeah, American Family Association.
A lot of times I'll get stuff from them that there's a bill coming up for vote that goes against what American Family stands for. And you can sign a petition indicating that you don't want that bill to pass, and then they send it out to the legislators. And so that's another avenue.
I did not want that to die on us.
Did we lose something?
It wasn't plugged in. Okay, so we almost lost our video feed, our video stuff. So
okay, so but there's a lot of ways you can, and
sure.
And like I've said before, get together with some people around you.
Yeah.
From your church, from your work, from your
Civic group. Yeah.
civic groups and clubs you belong to, and go ahead and write letters, make phone calls, visit your state capitals, form a group, a research group to bring about change and that sort of thing, because work at the local level, school board.
Yeah.
There's quite a few school board elections coming up here in Texas, I know.
Well, and it's find the things that you're passionate about. Not everybody can do every issue, but they can find what's passionate about, what they're passionate about, and stay on top of it.
Find other people who are passionate about a different thing, and you all get together and you make one big happy family doing all sorts of stuff.
That's right. So you can come together, even if if you have a hard time joining everything, because of the differences. Find the differences that you can agree upon, even if not every part of the person's life is something you can subscribe to. You can at least find something common.
Well, yeah, put a group together. Maybe one of you is great at research. Another one is great at writing letters.
Yeah.
Another one is great at talking on the phone and getting people to do things like that. You meet once a month and figure out what's going on and what you need to be addressing as far as your freedoms in this nation are concerned.
In the very least, they can join the political party that's meeting every county.
Yeah, well, you know, you have your state political parties, you have your county political parties.
Go see what's going on.
You can go to those meetings and, you know, they serve you lunch. It may cost you, but
Yeah, but it's fun. We've gone recently for the first time. I've never been to any of those before.
yeah, I hadn't either.
And I thought they were quite informative, quite interesting.
Oh yeah, they were very interesting. You meet a lot of like-minded people, and they're all very interested in furthering
Yeah.
their ideals.
Sure.
So choose your party and
Choose your values. Choose your party, choose your values. Well, what about prayer? You want to pray?
pray.
Okay. All right. Well, Father, thank you so much for allowing us this time. Thank you for the geniusness of what the founding fathers did to help this nation, this republic, have fair elections, dear God. Thank you for we know that all wisdom, true wisdom, comes from your hands. And so only you could have come up with a system that survived so long, dear God. And it survived so long because of you, number one, your presence and us honoring you. Lord, there's other nations that have constitutions, but they don't honor you, and they're not the same. So that you are the biggest part of why we are in existence and why we have remained. So, but then in the civil arena, dear God, where you do allow us to make some decisions and in governing underneath your government, God. And so, Lord, we ask you to help that people are awakened to their situation in their own cities and counties and states, that they will start looking and getting answers and begin to let these elected people be accountable back to the people again. And so, Lord, we thank you for the time that you have allowed us to spend on this. Thank you for Miss Pat. Thank you for her research and digging in on all of this. Thank you for the equipment. Thank you for everything that you have done to make this show possible. We love you, we thank you, and we honor you, and we bless you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Now, before we go, we're going to be off. This will be the last episode in this block for now, and we'll be back in another week or two to pick up the next segment of information, I think. So be staying tuned to that. Look around on there. Look across the Alive Media Network. There's all kinds of different shows, not just Politico shows. There's family shows. There's biblical teaching. Of course, there's service. There's all kinds of stuff on there that they can go look at. So anyway.
Yeah, we've got how many that are coming up yet on this one? 2.
I'm sorry?
We've got how many shows that are coming up yet in this series?
Oh, was this it? The Electoral College one?
This was the last one, but this one will come out this week.
Yeah. This will be the last in a series. We have one that, of course, is before this on Make Your Voice Heard.
Okay.
That's the one that's being edited now, and then this Electorial one will be out this week. And then, so the week of, it's the end of April. This the third week in April will be this one, and then we will be off the rest of April because that'll be just basically a week, and then we'll be back in May. So that'll be the next group. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
So Miss Pat's trying to follow what I'm saying as she's what yeah. So this will be once this one is complete, then we'll come back and Miss Pat will have another slate of things that might be pertinent to help us to be involved.
All right.
So anyway, all right. Well, God bless.
See you later.
That's been revealed when we walk in your light. We're walking it. Shine bright. Let your glory fill this land. Lift high, the King of Kings and great I am, Jesus. You are the word.